All right, we'll call this meeting to order of the Board of Supervisors, Ventura County for April 10th. And Supervisor Ghost, will lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, thank you. Please follow me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You do the roll call, please. And maybe next time I'll stay in order.
Here.
Supervisor Long?
Here.
Supervisor Bennett?
Here.
Supervisor Parks?
Here.
Supervisor Foy?
Here. And we have the minutes for our March 27th meeting. Everything okay? Do we have a motion for those? We have a motion from Supervisor Long, second by Zaragoza. Vote. And then we have an agenda review. Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Chair Foy. Item 11, CEO's Office, adoption of a resolution extending the proclamation of local emergency arising from the Thomas Fire. Comment letter from Teresa Jordan has been submitted. Item 18, Healthcare Agency, Behavioral Health. Approval to sign the Mental Health Services Act Innovation Push Technology Project Proposal. Revised board letter has been submitted. Item 39, Healthcare Agency, authorization to execute a contract with Kronos, Inc. A revised board letter and revised Exhibit 1 have been submitted. Item 41, Sheriff's Office, authorization to enter into a purchase agreement for the procurement of equipment and services with Motorola. Request removal from the agenda. And finally, item 43, Supervisors Foy and Long, recommendation to direct County Council to prepare a process ordinance amending the administrative appeals process. Request removal from the agenda. And comment letters from Teresa Jordan, Roxy Ray, Roy Villa, Jeff Kuiper, Jeanette Welling, John Brooks, Jessica Friedman, Pam Salucci, Danira Weissman, and Susan Wagner have been submitted. And that's it. Thank you.
So 41 is a removal?
Yes, 41 is removal. Thank you.
43.
And 43.
Okay, great. All right, so agenda review, anybody other comments with that at all? We have a motion to move the agenda. We all vote. All right, so we're going to move on to our moment of inspiration. And joining us this morning for our moment of inspiration is Alexia Lima. Oh, here we go. All right, also, she's the Director of Donation Development for One Legacy. And Jenny V. and Scott Burns, who are both organ donor recipients, I think are joining her today, aren't they? Yes, okay, great. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having us here with you today. Unfortunately, Jenny is unable to be with us today, but Scott will tell you a little bit more. Again, my name is Alexia De Lima, and I'm the Director of Donation Development for One Legacy. One Legacy is your dedicated organ, eye, and tissue procurement organization serving Ventura County amongst 7 other counties in the greater Southern California area. In One Legacy, we partner and support over 200 hospitals and 11 transplant centers in our mission to save and heal lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation. We would like to especially thank the County of Ventura and Peter Foy for your support and contribution to our life-saving mission and the proclamation allowing April to be the DMV and Donate Life Month. We sincerely appreciate it. Currently we have over 114,000 individuals waiting for those life-saving gifts, and 20 people pass away every day on the waiting list. We sincerely thank you for your support and your effort in our mission, and we continue to work collaboratively with your county as well as your hospitals to save and heal lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Jennifer, who was going to be here not more than yesterday, sent me a text message about 20 minutes ago saying she's in ER. One of the things people don't realize is while I look like I'm a nice guy and all those fun things, there's lots of various pills I take to make sure that things work. And so I'm not sure what's going on with Jennifer, and we'll find out afterwards. The reason I'm here is to bring a face, an individual, because right now there's probably 400 people on the waiting list in Ventura County waiting for an organ. I've got a kidney transplant. 6 years I began to need one. 3 years ago on Memorial Day, I've got one. I'm alive because of a nurse at Cottage Hospital who was at her gym in Ventura and collapsed, and they thought it was a stroke. It turned out to be a brain aneurysm. She put a pink dot on her driver's license. She's got some foundations that are now donating money to her name, Live Like Viv. Because of her, I'm alive. A month ago, actually 3 weeks ago, I helped my mom celebrate her 100th birthday. It's always nice to, have the younger people still around, such as myself. Speaking of younger people, my son, about 2 weeks ago, came and called us with an important announcement. He's been living with a girl or actually going out with a girl for 5 years, moved in together last year, and he was so excited. The important announcement, they got a cat. That's not what I was expecting, but, I'm able to be an individual and enjoy life because of the kidney that was donated because a lady did a pink dot on her driver's license. So I appreciate what you do. One thing that the Donate Life does, we have a Rose Bowl float every year, and we put a rose on the float in honor of Ventura County for all the help that you guys have given us. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Next time, well, maybe not be a cat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
very
your
much.
support.
Let's have this proclamation. We'll take a picture right here. You want to get in the middle here?
Absolutely.
Let me get on the other side of you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. I know your brother. Please tell him
Oh, you do?
Alexia said hi. He helped me find my first house.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, great. So we'll move on. We have public comments. One public comments speaker? Yes. Mr. Pearson, Vermont. Give him 5 minutes.
Good morning. There are questions in my mind that, based off of the things that I've been experienced to for a greater part of my life, that I'm starting to ask serious questions to. I brought some photos that try to help maybe if people would learn to ask those questions with me. Maybe you could help me. I understand this to be the government by which I gave myself to a long time ago. This is me as a boy. I was a Boy Scout. I remember this day that I took this picture at my den mother's house, and this is my family growing up. I was the young boy in the photo. This is my mother, Barbara, and this is my father, Ray. This is my brother, James. And this is, in this photo is, this is Celine Dion's violinist, Roddy Chong. We went to a concert that day. This is the lady by which I stood accused of by Gregory Totten and all his Confederates. Okay, and everything right down the line that try to say something different. And this is me. This is my youngest daughter, Rachel. I don't understand how many lawyers are in the DA's office, 50, 60, however, how many cops are on the police squad. Okay, and when am I going to get somebody that's going to say they're sorry for what they did to my life? I don't think you people get it. Do you represent the people, or are you just the first line of defense for the government? Because that line is in here somewhere. Will you guys please take a look at what you did to me, what the government did to me? Vincent O'Neill, the judge, he motions that my comments are, what did he say in the paperwork, erroneous? Like they don't exist? It's okay. The truth is the truth. It doesn't matter what a judge says. Don't you understand that by now? How can this happen? How? I joined you guys a long time ago, and I've been there ever since. So how do I get looked at in society like I'm anything different? What do I look like to you? Am I some threat? Is anybody interested in arresting me some more? How do we get here? Oh, the government is interested in turning the page. But I got to live with the memory. You understand? I still got to show my face in society. But now it's, oh, that's the guy that was accused. Doesn't matter if I go to prison or not. Doesn't matter if I even sit in prison falsely accused. I now have a deeper understanding that those prisons are filled with people who are completely innocent because of the narrow-mindedness of people like Gregory Totten and all the Confederates that came with him. Scott Peterson, where in the hell is he? Where is any of them? Everybody's turning the page. Now I sound like a crazy person because I live with the memory. Everybody else turns the page, right? I have to live with it. You ever been inside the prisons? You ever been inside the jails? You ever spent one day inside there, falsely accused? Nobody's saying they're sorry about anything? Do I not deserve an apology? This boy, he's still me. It's the same person. What the heck has changed? Nothing. But if he was walking around here at this age, you'd be patting him on the back, taking photos with him.
That's right.
You'd take photos with him, wouldn't you? But now what? You can't take a photo with me, can you? You can't say you're sorry to me, can you?
No, thank you,
Okay,
sir. Appreciate
yeah,
it. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Gave you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We're gonna move on to our consent items, 11 through 30. Okay. Okay, so we have one speaker, Lori? Yes. And you're, I don't, oh, Monica is, okay. So let's do the speaker first. Monica, where is she? Monica Ray?
I'd rather go up as the items are full.
You, well,
Okay.
this is part of our consent. We're just going to do the whole consent at one time.
All right.
So we're pulling it because otherwise it'd be gone.
Got it.
Thank you. I missed the consent.
Remember this public communication period when I talk to you later about maybe changing it 3 minutes
Wow.
just for public communication.
I don't know what that man was talking about, but my heart kind of hurts hearing the sadness. So, kind of a bummer. All right, thanks for setting the tissues out too. You know I need those when I come up. So basically, I'm here to talk about a few things. I saw that number 43, the ability to make public comment and, discuss things that are being done to our community, like fracking and a bunch of other crappy oil projects. So I'm glad that, that's still up for discussion and people can actually speak their mind. For a lot of people I know, coming to these meetings is really hard. You have to work and stuff usually. 9 to 5s don't really make for much room or time for public participation as it is. And since I am still actively looking for a new job, going to school about half-time and doing an internship with a local nonprofit, I'm pretty busy too, but I still feel like it's important enough to show up to these because when you read the agendas, and there's a lot, everyone could subscribe to them, but who has the time to read through all those line by line? Sometimes I do. 2 things that are important to me on there that I saw were item number 17. I saw that you guys are developing a website, marijuanafactcheck.org, planning on selling it to other counties for them to use and refer to, along with the promotional materials. You might want to be aware of the fact that there's a law being proposed right now by Senator Dr. Richard Pan, SB 947. It's digital citizenship and media literacy. It would make fact-checking more like a heavy-handed attempt at censorship and free speech in our state. It would also make it a crime to spread the kind of misinformation that would be found on your website. I hate to say it, but if I took your website square by square and all those facts that you're presenting and created my own website, I could probably market that and sell it to other counties full of activists too. I know that your community stakeholders include public health, behavioral health, Human Services Agency, every other rehab that you're building, and all the other people that want to continue the narrative that cannabis is harmful and bad. A lot of the information that I saw on your website, I could pull a whole stack of studies out right now and lay it on you and be like, you might want to make some revisions. So before you guys go selling it to other counties, you want to make sure that the information you're providing is accurate and up to date. Another thing that I wanted to mention is a good friend of mine will be fighting for custody of her nephews on April 12th in LA County Court. Her sister was a victim of domestic violence at the Thousand Oaks Mall. She was shot while at her workplace less than a week after filing for an order of protection against a member of her husband's family. Right now, Miriam Siddiqui is fighting for custody of her nephews. She is an owner of a local business that focuses on children and providing happy, healthy environments for them. And she's really worried that her nephews could be uprooted from the environment that's loving and caring, and they could have to go and live with the paternal grandmother of the mother of the man who shot Parisa. As a survivor of domestic violence and a mother of 3, I can't help but feel a real connection to that story. And the moment that you hear that something bad is going on in the mall, and you hear that it's being locked down, you start worrying about your friends who are posting in there, and then you start hearing the story and the specifics of it as it develops. And you see the pictures of this beautiful young mom with a life cut short from gun violence and domestic violence. She was reaching out for help, and now, even after she's gone, her children are still being subjected to a lot of, turmoil and things that they shouldn't have to. So, knowing that you guys are focusing on child abuse prevention, I would just like to see more services and support provided to families who are going through situations like that, because the fear that she felt before that happened to her was very real, and the fear that her family feels now, as he hasn't even been charged with murder, is also very real. So on behalf of Miriam and the remainder of their family, I'd like everyone to support them in their fight to keep those children safe, happy, and healthy on April 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, It's the only comment I think we had on our consent items. So we have a motion.
Could I ask a question on item 17 that was brought up by Ms. Lindsay? Hi, good morning. Looking at the main 5 themes that are going to be put forward on the website regarding fact-checking marijuana, item 4 is addiction. Could you give us the position of your department on marijuana being addicting?
Sure. The short answer is Dan Hicks, Alcohol and Drug Programs, for the record. The website uses peer-reviewed research as its main standard for sharing information. So things like the New England Journal of Medicine and Psychiatric Times are the types of sources that we reference in terms of addiction. Long-term heavy use, particularly at young ages, is associated with dependence, but it's certainly not the case that all young people who use cannabis develop some dependence.
Okay, and something like nicotine or heroin, where it's definitely been determined that they're addictive, alcoholism, because of the drug itself and having to go through withdrawal and all that kind of things. To me, when I look at the difference between those kind of drugs and marijuana, frankly, I don't see where I've read anything that marijuana is addicting. You could become dependent, like you have a crutch on, doing any kind of activity that may not be good for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's an addiction. So that just gives me some pause if we're putting out there that it's an addicting drug.
Sure. So the website is designed to bring the best research to bear. So it's not the case. It is true that cannabis is much less dependence forming than other forms of drugs, and the types of withdrawal symptomology that are there are very different than the drugs you mentioned,
Right,
like heroin.
kind of a physical addiction.
That's right.
So on the website, do you think it's going to be putting it forward that marijuana is addicting, or is it just going to provide information and let the public determine for themselves?
Yes, Supervisor Parks. That's the whole basis of the website, is not to try and advocate for a given position, but to share the best research available about marijuana and the developing teen brain, so people can make their own decisions.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have questions? No? All right. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming up. We have a motion for the consents 11 through 30. And a second. Please vote. Okay. So we can do board comments real quick. Supervisor Zaragoza, you want to go first real quick?
Thank you. I'd like to share that last Tuesday, Lourdes and I, for my staff, attended the National Public Health Week story over at in Oxnard, and Lourdes read to the children in Spanish, and I read in English. It was really great to see those kids, when we're reading to them. Very attentive. And also, we attended on Wednesday the 4th, I attended the general plan meeting by RMA in El Rio, and it was done in Spanish. We had over 50-plus people show up, and it was just outstanding. I just want to thank Susan Curtis and Kim and all her staff, that bilingual. They did an excellent job in Spanish. We had a lot of participation. And also Tracy, my assistant, and I attended the Sheriff Academy class graduation at the PAC over in Oxnard, and congratulated all the graduates that graduated from the Sheriff Academy. We got a great bunch of young Academy police officers. Also, my staff and I attended the El Concilio 29th Annual Latino Leadership Award in Oxnard. And one of the winners, as Consuelo Cambero. She's the owner of La Paloma restaurant in Oxnard. And she's a real, I've known her for years and years, and she received the award for coming out with the first storefront, police storefront in Oxnard in 1993. Rent-free, and she did rent-free for many, many years, and it still remains open after 23 years of operation. It's helped a lot of the community members there in Colonia. And also, and I'm going to adjourn the memory of those folks in this list. I attended Patrick Vega's burial. You know, he's a young man that the Marine that died during the boot camp, and it was really a well-attended funeral. We had over 500 people there, and we had one of the congressmen spoke there too, and it was just truly a special ceremony for the Vega family. So I want to give my condolences to the Vega family for losing such a young man, you know. And also last night I had the pleasure of attending the Knights of Columbus Public Safety Night with Supervisor Long and I, and commending our public safety employees from throughout Ventura County. We had close to about 200 people there last night. You know, it was really excellent recommendation, commending our police officers, our probation officers, our DAs, and a few other individuals that were there. So, again, I'd like to adjourn in memory of the folks in this list. And that's all thank you.
Hello, thank you. This last week, I attended the CSAC Executive Committee meeting up in Sacramento. We are reviewing our interviews for executive director position, and we'll hopefully be having a new leader for the CSAC executive director very soon. But fortunately, I was able to also attend the Senate subcommittee budget meeting in regards to the parolee fire training and talking about the issues in question, and to make sure that whichever way this training facility goes, that we're working hand in hand with the county. There's many services that if this was to go ahead, that they would need to be working on with us, especially workforce development, safety, and so forth. Tonight we have an opportunity. A few of the team that's doing this project from Sacramento are coming down to Camarillo, and we'll be having a community meeting tonight at 7 o'clock at the City Hall Council Chambers. It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, they changed? I thought it was 6.
Yeah, they changed it due to flights. But they will be down. The government's office will be driving this meeting to make sure that they're answering the questions of the community. It's extremely important that we have feedback from our community as to their questions. Because this is not a pilot program for 80 parolees to be coming and being trained, but an actual program that costs roughly around $27 million, which is, with everything, is about $80,000 per person to be trained. But more information to come there. Also, I was at the Sheriff's Academy graduation. It was a fabulous event for those 49 that were selected and made it to graduation. Also, our staff attended the El Concillo Latino Leadership Awards, thank you, last Saturday, and congratulations to the many leaders in our area that received those awards. It was a wonderful night. And then I adjourn on in the memory of those on this list. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, it's sad for me to say that I have to adjourn in memory of a member of the county family who passed away. Judy Dance, program administrator in the county's CEO financial team, and she passed away recently from complications from an illness. She was a member of the county family for over 15 years and contributed significantly to our salary and benefit analysis system for more than a decade. And I know Mr. Power said her kind heart and gentle soul will be remembered by all of us who had the pleasure of knowing and working with her. So on behalf of the county family, I want to call that out. Great. And I know, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Powers right now before I go on to the rest of my comments.
Thank you, Supervisor Bennett. You said it very well. Judy was certainly an expert with her numbers, but more than that, she was just a great member of our CEO and county family. And we've heard so many stories from her colleagues about how she really cared about so much about their well-being, looking out for their health remedies and so forth, and just really made them feel great. And she was really a warm presence in our office and very positive. And so Judy will forever be a member of our CEO family. So thank you.
And I'd like to ask the board to adjourn in memory of the other people on this list. And then I have just one thing that I'd like to point out, and for the board members, I'll pass this out. This is the Teach Scholars Night, and this is the foster youth sort of recognizing and honoring their achievements. It's going to be June 5th at Cal State University, and it's a wonderful night to interact with the foster youth, and so I pass out this and extend an invitation to you to join us if you are interested. And I think I've got one for you four and Mr. Powers. Thank you very much.
I was able to attend the Community Action Ventura County and tour their location, and I don't know if Supervisor Long or other supervisors have been out there, but I think that is definitely worth a tour and looking at the good services our county provides for homeless there, as well as community action, and it really gives you a sense of the need that is out there. Also, we had Carl Novak come to our Southern California Association of Government and present his study that the Watershed Protection did regarding raptors, and it was really nice to see other electeds wanting him to come to their jurisdictions and present and getting the word out. Also had our Clean Power Alliance meeting with Los Angeles County. I was elected to their executive committee, and we're also forming a community advisory committee. So we will be able to recommend folks that we think should be on that from Ventura County. So I just kind of alert you, if you think of someone who would be good to be on that, to let me know, and we can pass that name on. Additionally, we're all members of Ventura County Transportation Commission, but it was exciting for me to see that we decided to fund free bus fares for college students. So we'll be doing that in 2019, and that was a momentous and long-awaited accomplishment. And then I just want to also point out that today is Equal Pay Day. April 10th symbolizes how far into the year women must work to earn what men earned last year, so to be equal pay. I also ask that we close in honor of the people on this list, and I would like to call out a couple of individuals. First of all, Donald Lee Williams was a retired Ventura County fire captain and lived a long life, and I know he will be very much missed. Additionally, Yvonne Karokas, she grew up in Thousand Oaks, but was just a very active volunteer in kids' schools, and especially the Thousand Oaks High School Band, volunteered at Conejo Players Theater. Additionally, I wanted to mention Alan Coleman Hardy. He was a Cal Poly SLO graduate, go Mustangs, but he was selected by the Navy and left to pursue a lifelong dream to fly. He was awarded his Navy wings in '64, served as VP 48 Squadron, VRF 32, and Naval Reserves. Alan was among the last of the flying boat captains performing patrol missions during Vietnam, and Marlin and a P-5N Marlin flying boat was very dear to his heart. Also a very active member in our Thousand Oaks Elks, and I know he will be very much missed. So with that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just real quick, Mr. Powers, you want to go through yours first? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Foy. Just a few comments. Just let folks know we have our Family Care and Volunteer Resource Fair, May 24th, 10 to 1 in the main courtyard here. And also the Job and Career Fair is coming up June 21st from 10 to 1, also in the main courtyard. And this is a big event. I think it's probably the third one we've done, and each time we have anywhere from 500 to 700 folks, job seekers coming and looking for jobs, and we have all 25 of our departments represented, elected officials, department heads, everybody's out there, and it's really a neat event. So that's June 21st. We're also doing the second year of our student internship program all summer at the county. We work with all the high schools in Ventura County so they can participate using industry-focused criteria to help with the work-based learning. And to let you know also that just to note that we are up to now 550 properties cleared in response to the debris removal effort. So it's quite a milestone. And yeah, they've got 40, 45 teams out there every day working hard to clear those lots. And then lastly, just let you know, we're still watching AB 1250. That's the bill that would essentially prohibit contracting out for counties. It's not moving yet. It's still in the Senate Rules Committee, and that's good. There is another bill, AB 3224, that would sort of codify existing requirements regarding eligibility workers in CalWorks and CalFresh and Medi-Cal eligibility. We're not as concerned about that. CSAC's neutral, but we are continuing to watch this legislative session. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. I, too, want to just ask people to join people on this list and just call out one, Jared Hardesty, a young man I've known since he was a baby, and I know that it's tough on everybody and when you watch these kids grow up, and it's just, anyway, I know his dad and his mom Diane and everybody are just going to miss him and his family, so just wanted to call out for that. That's my comments. Thank you. 39, which is our healthcare agency. Who do we have? All right. Kim coming? Johnson coming? The whole team's coming.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Foy, members of the board, Mr. Powers. For the record, Kim Milstein. I'm the CEO of your county's hospitals, our county's hospitals, and Deputy Director of the Healthcare Agency. I'm with Terry Theobald, the IT Director for the HCA, as well as Johnson Gill, Director of the HCA, and we're pleased to bring forward this board item for your consideration today. We'd like to propose your approval and authorization for us to contract with Kronos for a time and attendance system for the entire healthcare agency. Implementing a time and attendance system has been a discussion point that has come up several times, I think, over the last decade. And we have been working very closely with the Auditor Controller's Office, with Human Resources, as well as with our unions, as we've looked at bringing this forward for your consideration. With your approval, I'd like to share just a couple of items about a time and attendance system for you and why this is really important for the operations of our agency. Do I have the remote, Lori? Here we go. So what is electronic labor collection? Obviously, usually known as a time clock. This has been standard practice in the healthcare industry as well as other industries for a long time now, and it replaces our current paper timesheets. When you look at some of our memorandums of understanding with the union, and I'll specifically point out the one that we have with CNA, who represents our nurses, we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 74 unique pay differentials that each have their own code. And so if you think about a staff nurse who is having to fill out a paper timesheet and pick from those 74 different unique differentials, and then that gets transcribed by other staff into a system, there leaves a great possibility for error and for a lack of transparency. And so this really does help to solve that problem. We would use a labor collection device, usually called the time clock, in very strategic work areas to be convenient to our staff. We will be able to move away from a manual completion of time records and a manual approval of time records, allowing for electronic signatures at both the staff and the manager level, and interfacing as we move into the future directly with VCHRP, which is our payroll system, and can interface with ANSOS, which is our nurse scheduling and acuity system. Kronos is very strong in this area nationally. They're founded in 1977 and serve more than half of the hospitals in this country, as well as other customers internationally. This is what the actual time clock would look like for the staff, including management. Using the time clock would be a very simple approach with a badge that activates, recognizes the badge, and allows the employee to enter their time, clock in, clock out with a very simple push of a button. From a management perspective, it also provides some real-time data related to the allocation of resources across units, the time that people are actually working in real time as opposed to retrospectively when paper reports are produced 2 weeks in arrears. So why change? Obviously, there's a number of reasons to change. This does provide a much simpler time entry system for us and greatly improves accuracy, which I think is a benefit to management and specifically to all of us as employees, especially those who have very unique differentials and difficult differentials with their timekeeping system. We are able to distribute staff better, which provides for better patient care across the whole agency. We are able to more equitably distribute overtime because we'll have access to real-time data in the moment as opposed to, again, in arrears. Attendance policies as they currently exist, there is no change in our attendance policies, will be fairly applied to all. We can reduce registry costs, and we can also reduce that potential for transcription errors. The goal is to have the entire, all of the employees in the healthcare agency use the new system. We would not have this apply to any contracted staff, any registry staff, or to our physicians. The exception to the physician would be our residents, which are actually employees of the county as they go through their training program. Our plan is to install time entry devices in each work area. This would be normally near the entrance point to each department. It would not be in a centralized place where staff would have to traverse to get to. It would be very easily accessible and convenient to them. In addition to the clocking in and out, they would also be able to see their time card using that device in real time and their previous time card. So staff would be able to better manage their own time and attendance themselves directly without having to go look back through paper. I've given you a very complicated map that just shows this is the first floor of the new North Tower, and the yellow stars that you see show the locations of the potential locations of the time clocks. These are wireless, so there's no need for construction costs or time to implement these from a wiring system, but we would implement a time clock in every single unit so it would be accessible by the staff of that unit. Here's the timeline for our potential change. We would like to enter into contract negotiations with your approval. Installation and configuring of the rules will take a significant amount of time. Kronos will actually look at the memorandums of understanding that we have with all of our unions and build the rules according to the MOAs that are in place for our employees. We would then look to start training with our staff in late summer, implementing at VCMC and Santa Paula Hospital starting in September, and then moving out toward the IPU, our 5-story ambulatory care building, and then the other portions of the healthcare agency by late 2018 and continue into early 2019. So this will happen using standard project management methodology. Terry and his team have done a great job at already putting together not just the timeline, but what the project management process would look like. We do believe this is a very achievable process. And, you know, from a staff perspective, the benefit to this really lies in both ease of use, but also transparency for staff as to their own pay codes, how they're being paid, how they've been paid, and feeling a sense of clarity and confidence that their paycheck accurately reflects the wages that have been negotiated for them. From a management perspective, obviously there's the same ease of use and the ability to have real-time management tools that we don't currently have to track, trend, apply resources effectively, et cetera. We have met with all of the unions to discuss this issue. There were several questions. However, there was overwhelming support that this is a tool that would definitely help with clarity and transparency, and they have wide support. Obviously, they have many other hospitals, CNA, SEIU, that use time and attendance systems like Kronos, and so they understand the mechanism and how it actually is a big benefit to their members. So for your consideration is a board letter before you to authorize us to contract in the amount of $1.6 million over the next 5 years. It would be a $792,000 investment over this current fiscal year and into the next fiscal year. And I would be happy to ask for your consideration and any questions you may have.
Real quick.
Supervisor Lowe. Sorry.
Okay, great. Let me just say, I'm more than excited about this. This is something, Mr. Powers and I talked about 12, I've been around 15 years, that this is the kind of stuff that is going to make your lives, everybody's lives, so much easier, so much, I mean, your management ability just to see in people, and somebody complain, hey, I'm not getting enough overtime. Well, let's see you. Oh, yeah, equitably, people can get, it can be shared. That's all great stuff. And I would hope from Jeff's standpoint over here, it's going to be easier information dropped right in, and without all the manual work, and your people can do more of looking at accuracy issues versus just inputting a bunch of information. So I think it's very, very exciting what you're doing.
I just want to say thank you for picking a company, in the research that I'm looking at, it is a worldwide operation, and it's not a program that's just starting and we're piloting it. It's a well-known system that has been verified a lot, and I think that'll help in our consistency and so forth for our employees. So I just appreciate picking that system.
Thank you. And as you can see in the board letter, this has been a system that's worked in public organizations, and we're very grateful that they have that experience as well.
Right.
I'd also be remiss if I didn't just very much thank Mr. Berg and his staff, and Mr. Ayton and his staff, and especially Mr. Powers and your CEO office staff, who have been very supportive as we've really digested this and gone through this and recognized that the implementation that the IT team and the healthcare team would have to go through. The support has been very palpable and appreciated, and I'm grateful to be here with this item today.
I also really appreciate the ability to have that accuracy, and I think that would be helpful. And I also will see the potential application in other departments as we see how it works with your department. Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We vote, please. Thank you.
With a modern hospital, we need to have a modern system here, so it's just essential, which is great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to item number 40, approve the authorization of the Ventura County Behavioral Health Director sign with the narcotic treatment program.
Good morning again, Chair Foy, members of the board, Mr. Powers. As you see from your packet, the item recommends approval for the department to amend our existing agreement with Aegis Treatment Centers, increasing the maximum by $1 million. Just a few things to point out. First, as the board knows, the implementation of the Affordable Care Act made utilization of narcotic treatment programs more accessible, and that has increased as more and more clients are now eligible for drug Medi-Cal services. If you're not aware, Aegis has clinics in Oxnard, Santa Paula, Simi Valley, and Ventura, and they anticipate serving nearly 1,000 drug Medi-Cal clients by the end of this year. So to ensure sufficient funding is available, an increase to the contract maximum is required, which is funded by drug Medi-Cal and realignment funds. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor?
I just want to point out, think about this as extra $1 million. This extra $1 million funded essentially if Obamacare had not hit, you wouldn't have this expansion of this drug treatment program because that really has allowed more and more people to qualify for insurance, and it's that group of people that have qualified for the insurance that are now getting these services.
That's absolutely right, Supervisor Bennett.
We're getting paid this $1 million, but it just shows that, as much as it's out there, if we don't keep pointing out where we have appropriate policies that get us in line with the other industrialized nations of the world about how we provide health care, when we do that, we actually can provide good things for people. We don't have enough people going through these recovery programs, and this is an expansion of that, and that's a good thing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so you're increasing from 800 plus to about 995, is that about right, clients, the increase in?
That's the anticipated end-of-year service for drug Medi-Cal clients, yes.
Is that for 2 years, or?
No, that's for this
For this
current year.
fiscal, okay. Good program. Thank you.
All right, so No more comments, questions? Anybody have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move to Supervisor 42. 42 for Supervisor Parks.
Move the recommended action unless you want more information.
No, I think we're good. No vote, thank you. And then Sean here, we're going to move to 44. There he is.
Good morning, Chair Foy, members of the board, CEO Powers. My name is Sean Otten, your Human Resources Director, and today I'm before you to recommend a 1.5% general salary increase and a $50 flexible benefit program contribution increase per pay period, that is. The salary increase is effective January 13, 2019, and the contribution increase is effective December 16, 2018. The recommended increases are for all employees covered by the management, confidential clerical, and other unrepresented employees resolution. As required by the Brown Act, I'm required to state that the recommended increases will include the CEO, assistant CEO, deputy CEOs, and all department heads. I should also say that the combined average annual increase, the value
And
of
you're
it
leaving the
is-
supervisors out, okay.
Not the supervisors. Your salary is fixed by ordinance for the salary increase. The combined average increase is 2.2%, which is below Visera's 3.5% assumed payroll increase, so it will not have an adverse impact on funding. The recommended action before you today is, I think, aligned with your board's principle to invest in the county's workforce by offering a fair, sustainable, and competitive compensation plan. This action will also align management and unrepresented employees' 2019 pay increases with those already granted to several unions, such as the SEIU and the CNA and some others. And I think importantly, it will also provide a leadership example as we continue to engage in our meet and confer negotiations with representatives of the Sheriff, Fire, Probation, and Correctional Officer Association representatives, during which we're discussing general salary increases, flexible benefit program increases, market-based adjustments, and other increases. With this, I'm prepared to take any questions that you may have.
No, I appreciate you, all the work you go through on all these, and thank you very much. Any more questions, guys? Everybody agree? All right. So we'll have a motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, and then Supervisor Parks, number 40, I'm sorry, Bennett, number 45 is yours.
Thank you. I'd like to just ask people to approve Barbara Kennedy as my appointee to the Women's Economic Roundtable.
Thank you. All vote. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes or so. Let's take a quick break, or I think there's anything we can do in closed session. No. Do you have anything you want to do in closed session real quick or not? No? Okay, we'll take a quick break then. Thank you. All right. So we'll call this meeting back to order. And then we have a couple items first before we start. We do our correspondence, item number 51. Or just do the whole correspondence? Can I do them all?
You
Yep.
need a motion for that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Motion and a second. We all please vote. It's correspondence, isn't it? 51 to 53, please. Thank you.
Right.
One more vote. Steve isn't here. All right.
Steve Kenny.
Don't worry, I asked the same question. All right. All right, so we have an opportunity to honor somebody who's been a friend to all of us, and a friend to the community and the county and to the harbor. Lynn, do you want to come down and sit up front or stand up here? Or? Well, just stand here. We're going to make you stand for one more time.
I shouldn't have said
One more
that.
time. Yeah. This is, I guess, you're retired, now it's real official right here, huh? Right in front of your whole county family. This is a special time. So, Lynn, there's a lot of stuff in this whole thing to read. I'm just going to read some highlights of all this stuff, but I know that you've had a major impact in this community and this county, and it's a special place because of people like you who serve so diligently. Let me read. Okay, that it says, a resolution honoring Lynn Krieger for 26 years of service. Almost a career here, almost done. Lynn was named as the harbor director in Ventura County in 1996. Channel Islands Harbor is a public treasure with 320 acres of land, water, over 2,000 boat slips, 31 leaseholds, and along with 2 miles of beaches. Wow, there's a lot of stuff there when you start to really look at all the different things you had to be involved with. Lynn has worked tirelessly to return the harbors to financial stability, dear to my own heart, I appreciate that, and to secure federal funding for 12 dredge cycles at the harbor. That's 20 million cubic yards of sand was pulled out of that harbor. Wow. And I know that there's it's hard to get all that money when everybody else is vying for it too at the same time. She is also focused on public service, forming the Harbor Foundation and the incredibly popular Junior Lifeguard Program. 5,000 young people participated. And I think Supervisor Zaragoza, you've seen that in your own community, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent program.
She has provided outstanding service to the residents of this county and will be greatly, greatly missed. I know there's a whole lot more, but I think that was kind of I wanted to say the top. But I know that you've made an impact. You're going to continue to make impact. We got that long leash on you for some other things that we would need you to be doing for us. But maybe I can have some other supervisors. Supervisor Zaragoza?
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today, and thank you for 26 years of service to the County of Ventura. As the chair mentioned, you've overseen the management of the harbor since 1996, and you've done a tremendous job. You have a lot of historical knowledge of the Channel Islands Harbor. You worked extensively with the Coastal Commission many, many times. I've run up and down. In fact, I had the opportunity of attending the Coastal Commission meetings with you, and you were very, very effective. And of course, throughout the years, you've been very instrumental in dredging, as mentioned before. The dredging at the sand trap and providing sand to the city of Wainimi when they needed it desperately, and working with the Corps and working with Julia Brownlee and bringing monies, for dredging. So you've done a lot of good work for that. You've done a lot of beautiful improvements in the harbor, starting from the museum and all the way around the harbor. I remember you had some problems with Toppers. Toppers now become probably the most popular pizza place in the whole county. People could drink beer out there and have a great time, and have sodas too. So you've done a really good job. The boat launching ramp, that's really fantastic. You're working to bring back the lobster trap and the hotel in Surrey Peninsula. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us. And hopefully we can get Fisherman's Wharf going. And also, of course, your administration building that looks like a 1940 Quonset hut building. Hopefully one of these days you'll get a new one there. I want to thank you again for all the work, and congratulations. I know you're going to have a good retirement. Enjoy your 2 daughters. And thank you again for 26 years of work. Thank you.
Supervisor, do you have any comments?
Yes, it's been a pleasure working with you. Your knowledge for all that goes on in the harbor is
very valuable, and we appreciate all that you've done for our community. It's not just for one city, but it's actually for the good of Ventura County. Going on the dredging vessel with you and learning about all the process that goes on with the federal level and the state and the cities and Coastal Commission, extremely valuable, and we appreciate all that you've done for the good of Ventura County. So thank you for your time, and I know that you will be enjoying the rest of your time in different fashion, but you're always welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Supervisor Parks?
Yeah, I'm just sitting here reflecting on the past CEOs that we've had and supervisors and the process that you have gone through, really supporting the will of the majority of the Board of Supervisors. And it hasn't been easy. It's development in itself is often controversial, but being able to continue to move forward at the board's direction, that took a strength. And I just, as I mentioned at your retirement party, I also appreciated that you had that smile there, and I just, you have to appreciate the fact and realize that even though there's, sometimes you're in adversity, you realize what's important in life too, and this is work, and I'm glad that you will be able to enjoy some time for retirement, and as Supervisor Long was saying, with your children, and a long, well-deserved career. And I also recall you receiving an award from the, I think it was one of our CEOs, right, from the Management Council for your service there too. So a long and distinguished career, but do enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Supervisor?
The harbor director position requires making some tough decisions and that don't make everybody happy. And I know you knew that came with the territory, and particularly the unique situation that we have with our harbor and the situation down there. You were destined to be controversial and attacked by the public, and that just, like I said, goes with the territory. What I don't think anybody expected was, I don't think any county employee, department head, or anybody else expects to be accused of criminal behavior by a supervisor here at the dais. And that was a remarkably tense, stressful period, and you handled that with so much grace. I just want to compliment you for holding that together when it was difficult, and allowing this board to sort of work through that and try to stand up for you and reveal how false that accusation was. But nobody should have had to go through that, and I'm really happy that you survived that well, and you've made it to retirement. While you had to make all of us unhappy at one point in time, and you've had to make, project proponents unhappy and residents unhappy. Nobody has questioned that you had only one motive, and that was to try to provide the best recommendations you could for what's good for Ventura County. And that's a really nice thing to hang your hat on as you walk out the door, is that you have consistently tried to do what's right, even when you've had an enormous amount of pressure on you, and it would have been so easy to cave to that political pressure over and over again. So I just want you to know I really admire that, and as you ride off into the sunset, or partially ride off into the sunset from us, I hope you feel really proud of that. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Powers?
Thank you, Supervisors. And to what Supervisor Bennett was saying, and through all that, you kept your positive professional approach to things, which for those of us who know you is no surprise. And I just think it's really something to highlight is 21 years as the harbor director. That's remarkable. I think she's the longest serving harbor director in the state of California. That in itself is an amazing accomplishment. You look at all the projects that have been listed and so forth, as we've seen so often, things that are important and meaningful are hard. there's challenges to overcome. It's just the way of the world, right? And you've had more than your share, but those things only get done. You can have this nice vision, but those things don't happen unless you have passion and courage. And you've got a whole lot of both of those. And that's why the harbor is in such good shape and such a gem at what it is. And you've also built relationships of trust. You can see it with the number of lessees who are here today. Those lessees help make that harbor go. They invest. They build those beautiful amenities and restaurants there to make it a gem for recreation for all of our community. And I know they have faith and trust in you. And that's hard to earn. And I know that you've earned that, and that's what's also built the strength of the harbor. But also with the state and federal agencies, the colonel from the Army Corps came to recognize you at your harbor, at your retirement event. That was a big statement. Gave you a challenge coin. Should have gave you a bushel full of challenge coins maybe, but I thought that was a big statement that he was there. And you've also, as a great leaders, built a great team. With Susie Watkins and everybody you have there, your Harbor Patrol, Gary Hertensteiner, your team. How many problems do we hear about Harbor Patrol? Nothing. Amazing. All we hear about is the great rescues that you do and the great safety that you keep going there at the harbor. So, Lynn, with that, I would just say you've done a great job as the harbor director, but you've also been a great colleague to me and to your other county leadership colleagues as well. And so we just thank you for being a great member of our county family, and hope you feel really proud about all you've accomplished here at the county and at the harbor.
Thank you.
Well, Lynn, I think you've been recognized as a woman of grace, strength, passion, and now it's your turn to speak.
Yeah, I have just a few things, just 10 or 12 pages. No, just kidding. Just kidding, just a few
Let me ask you this. Steve Kinney wants to speak. Do you want him to speak after you speak, or do you want him to speak? What
No,
do you want to
actually,
finish up?
this is fine. I can finish up and enjoy if that's okay.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, it's
So,
up to you.
because the first thing I want to do is, given everything that you've said about the easy parts and the hard parts, is to thank you for allowing me to oversee such a beautiful place for so many years. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your willingness to stand with me as we waded through all of this complex and sometimes horrific permitting. It's always difficult, it's always controversial, especially on the coast. And it's continuous, luckily for us, because the projects just keep coming. I mean, fear of that doesn't keep investors away. But there are just a few things I want to tell you, and one of them you've already mentioned, and that's the harbor staff. It's not that big, but we have maintenance. Most people don't know much about our maintenance, but you won't find, several of them are here, I think, I'm so glad, you won't find a more dedicated or knowledgeable crew than them. I mean, they work on docks. They run electricity across the water. They build buildings. They do whatever needs to be done, and they do it with great pride. Really great pride in everything they do. Patrol, you've talked about. The only complaint we get about patrol is people picture them on a sunny day just kind of tooling around in the water. And what they don't see are the medical calls in the middle of the night, the rescues as people can't get back into the harbor when the winds come up, the leaks, the fires, those things that they deal with, and the storms when it's really not that great to be in an uncovered boat. And I'm sure they'd back me up on that if they're here. And the administrative staff, I mean, I really don't know what to say. 31 leaseholds, lots of land records, checking tax returns, rent reports. That's just the beginning. It's a lot. Working with permitting agencies, of which we have nearly 40 permitting agencies that we work with. So what separates this staff group from others I've managed over the years, because believe it or not, I started working at 15, so it's like 50 years at this point, is that they don't just care about their jobs, they care very deeply about the place. And they recognize, from maintenance all the way up, that we hold this in trust for the taxpayers. I mean, it just blows me away, the depth and sincerity that they feel toward that. I'm very proud of them for that. And then there are colleagues, as you mentioned, all around the county, the CEO, county council, always been there for me, auditor, controller, and more, and then all the outside colleagues who we work with. And then there are the lessees. I won't dwell on that. It is their investment that gives the amenities and places for people to go. And in spite of the fact that they're the ones with the money on the line, they treat us with great respect. They open their records. They talk to us about their projects. It's really been a great relationship with them. So I'll move quickly now, but as I think back, I've been thinking back too. It's part of the process, I guess. And you would think it's all the projects. We've built a number of projects that would stand out, and they do. They're important. But the other things are so important. The junior lifeguard program, I'll never forget that. It was started with 6 months warning, and the staff said it could never be done, but they did it anyway. It opened, and 5,000 kids have been through there, replacing those beach restrooms. Some of you remember that, but a great service to the public. Improving lifeguard training, response, public interface, donor bench program. I don't know how many of you have seen that. More than 60 now around the edge of the harbor, all funded by others. Ending up in the top 10 beaches in California. Again, that's this maintenance crew. A new farmer's market. Over 150 elementary school teachers trained in ocean science at the boating center. I am so happy about that. It's a big deal. Working with NOAA, this was a ton of fun early on to invite the Chumash to restart their Tamal crossing from what was their original homeland. That now happens every year like clockwork and has grown by tenfold. These are the things that really give me satisfaction. Building takes a long time. These things can come along and happen quickly, and they're a lot of fun. And lastly, I'll just say about my family, who you mentioned. You're probably well aware that my job didn't generally happen between 8 and 5 Monday through Friday. Just didn't work that way. So my family's given up a fair amount of time for my work. My 2 daughters, one who was not quite 2 when we came here, is now finishing graduate school. The other is midway through college. And many nights we did homework together. They had their, first it was adding and then it was advanced calculus. Mine was my inbox, and we did that daily. So they gave up a lot of weekends. They helped with the 4th of July, tall ships, parade of lights. They were always around. They were understanding, patient, supportive. They were very good kids through their teenage years, and I want to thank them for that. It made my life much easier. So my husband, Paul, who's here today, also very patient, has had vacations canceled or cut short, or times when we were on vacation when I stayed in the room to handle some problem, read a report, make some phone calls because something had come up, and he just waited. We missed anniversaries, we missed birthdays, and overall he's been enormously patient. I can't say every time, but almost every time. And he's helped with many events too. So now we'll have some time together, and I want to thank him publicly for waiting for me to do that. 41 years. Wow. 41 years. So thank you all. It's been a really good run here for me. I wish I could have done even more for you in the county, but I'm happy we got as much done as we did. So thank you very much.
Wow. Steve, you want to come down and speak? Does anybody else want to speak after him? He was the only speaker. Is there anybody else that wanted to? You wanted to? Okay.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors, Mr. Powers. I'm Steve Kinney. I'm here representing the Harbor Lessees Association. And I have to first say, because we all regard Lynn as a friend over the years, and it was really kind of touching to hear all of your very, very gracious comments directed to Lynn when she was standing here just now. I mean, clearly heartfelt respect for her. That was nice to see because we feel the same way about it, maybe from a different perspective, but it's the same person that we're all admiring. The lessees, as you know, they're the private investors in the harbor that sort of leverage all of your infrastructure investments into the businesses that are there today. Lynn's been there long enough that I think it's fair to say that every lessee has had a common experience, and that is to negotiate a lease with Lynn, or maybe more than one time over the years. She's been known to drive a hard bargain from time to time, and I know you like to hear that. The thing that we like from our perspective is that she also is knowledgeable enough about the workings of the private marketplace that when there are times that a little flexibility is called for and she has the ability to do that, she's had the intelligence to provide that to the lessees as needed. Again, she's been a constant there for so long that we've taken for granted the level of skill and professionalism and interpersonal relationship that she's brought to it. And it's only now, as she's leaving, that we realize we have taken that for granted, and realize how lucky we've been over the course of these decades relative to the other harbors around the state. So it's certainly with mixed feelings that we see Lynn go, with highest regard and affection for all that she's brought to the harbor and all that she leaves behind her at the harbor. And we'll do our best to carry on in that tradition. So Lynn, best wishes and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Coming now.
I'll try to be brief. Steve Banger, Marine Emporium Landing. I've had the pleasure of working with Lynn since she started in '96. Our family goes back to the mid-'60s, and my dad was one of the original lessees. So we've worked with a few harbor directors. So I'd like to commend the County of Ventura for somehow recruiting Lynn and keeping her for all this time since '96. I'd like to echo what Steve Kinney said, and that is that Lynn is a very tough negotiator, but she's extremely fair, and she has a great business head on her shoulders and was a phenomenal representative of the county. I enjoyed working with her, didn't always get the outcome I wanted, but it was the outcome I needed. I think there's a song about that. But Lynn has been a great supporter. There was one instance back in 2005 that she proved to be much more than a landlord, and that's we had a catastrophic fire in one of our buildings. It leveled it out. And my wife and I were out of town. We were actually out of the country when this happened, and we did everything in our power to get back as fast as we could, caught a plane, got back. And who's there in the middle of all the rubble? It's Lynn, kind of directing traffic. And she had our back and she had our front when that came down. And throughout the rebuilding process, Lynn was a guiding force. She educated us on the processes to go through, the agencies to work with, and we couldn't have done it without her. But I've really enjoyed working with Lynn. I commend you for having her, and I thank you, Lynn, so much for the last 21 years.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Well, if that's our last speaker, supervisors, would you want to come down, Mr. Powers? We'll all go down and be part of this. Lynn?
That was good comments about the different programs that you're able to start.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
All right, so you gonna bring him down?
You want to come down?
For a picture?
He doesn't have a choice. Oh, get down here. Oh.
Bring your whole team down. Come on, guys.
There we go.
You can come with that. You can come with that.
Come on,
He's very conscious. This is your deal. My deal. Yes.
Oh,
that's it. He was a professor for many years.
Oh, is that right?
East Asia. And then when he quit that, when our kids were younger, and we just got close to him, he was a consultant to textbook companies and a radio company in
Professor
China.
of what?
Japanese.
Yeah, get in front here.
Japanese religions.
You're sneaking in the back
An
here.
October trip to Japan.
Lourdes, will you hold that for him so that he'll come down?
Come with the group. Come down with the group. Oh, he's. I know. I'll see you this afternoon. I'm going to be in this afternoon.
I'm gonna have you all just get him right next to you.
Get him right here. There you go.
Am I going to go first?
Sure.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. I want to take one more. Smile.
One more full order.
All right.
Thank you.
You certainly got a lesson in.
I just keep smiling.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
thanks for helping.
Few words
I
and
heard
lots
you all that
of
stuff.
few words and lots of smiles.
Congratulations to you too. Congrats.
Heard a lot about you.
Yeah, sure.
No uniform.
Hi, Bob, Steve Kenny. We never met, but,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me tell you.
Well, you are a good storyteller, man. That is absolutely not. I'd love to be there.
All right, Supervisor Foy had to step out, and so we're going to continue the meeting with item 30, which is a presentation of I'm going to mostly turn to my colleagues to help me with this one thing, and just ask everybody in the audience to try to think, in Ventura County last year, how many child abuse cases were reported, how many child abuse cases were actually investigated, and just ponder what you think the number was in Ventura County last year. And I won't embarrass anybody by calling out your answer, but if you think about that number and then you hear the number, it was more than 11,000 child abuse calls came into our system. More than 5,000 child abuse cases reported. And think about being a child in a situation where you're almost completely defenseless and there is an abuse or neglect taking place. There's only one lifeline out there, and that is Child Protective Services coming and investigating and trying to help solve that dilemma, that problem that emotionally can be the most horrific experience a kid may experience their whole life. So, I'm just trying to bring alive child abuse is a serious problem. It has long-term generational impacts. Who is it that abuses children? People that were abused as children. And if we can get in there and break that cycle, and we have a number of organizations here today to help us with that. And so I'm going to ask Kathleen Van Antwerp, the Executive Director of the Partnership for Safe Families and Communities, and Soletta Dabrowski, the Board President. Would you come on up, please? And I have this resolution of the Board of Supervisors, and I'm going to come down and present it to you, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to give us some additional information about child abuse in Ventura County that would be good for all of us to know. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. I'm Salita Dabrowski. I'm with Public Health. I'm also the board president for the Partnership for Safe Families and Communities. We want to thank you, all of you, for inviting us here to talk a little bit about this. I'd like to introduce Kathleen Van Antwerp. She just recently came on board as our new executive director for the partnership. We're excited to have her. And I'm going to let her share a little bit about what we have been working on this last year and what our plans are for the future.
Thank you, Salita. Good morning. Thank you for having us here today. It's an honor to stand united with so many dedicated professionals, outreach specialists, community members, and family members who come together collectively to do what we can to prevent child abuse. I'm happy to say that we no longer have to use the word child abuse awareness because, as you mentioned, we are all aware of the statistics and all aware of how devastating child abuse is to our families and our communities. But we now use the word prevention because we stand united as the Partnership for Safe Families and Communities to bring together collectively all of these organizations. We specifically want to thank Judy Weber, the Deputy Director of the Human Services Agencies, the Directors of Public Health, our partners such as the Coalition and AspiraNet and all the other community agencies that stand united with us on a daily basis. I want to highlight just a few things that we're working on this calendar year that will do a lot to prevent and bring down those numbers that we talked about earlier in this meeting. Because of the Human Services Agency, we received a grant called the Ventura County Prevention Plan Grant. And the main concept behind that grant, it's a 2-year grant to bring together the community leaders and the family members and to look at our resources and to find out where there may be gaps, where there may be areas where we can build up our resources so that our children and our families are receiving what they need directly into their communities and into their homes. So we're excited. We're launching that. We've already had a number of meetings and collectively put our heads together to see how we can best use these resources. We also continue to conduct our mandated reporter trainings on a quarterly basis, training professionals in our communities to recognize their roles and responsibilities in child abuse prevention. And we tend to train about 70 to 100 professionals every time we host one of those reported trainings, and they're essential and critical and profoundly effective. We also continue, we've had a huge summit and symposium, an 8-hour day where we talked about attachment theory and neurobiology so that we can understand social emotional bonding for young children in the early years and how that impacts their development throughout their life. We also have a number of different learning strategies and strengthening families trainings that we provide with over 400 participants this past year alone. So we're very excited about what we're doing, bringing all of our partners together, and we're very thankful for the support and continuous support of the Board of Supervisors, recognizing that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month and bringing us all together to celebrate. So we thank you for that. And Salita, you want to talk about the upcoming 5K?
Sure. Just as a reminder, the partnership is putting on our 4th annual 5K fundraiser. It is on April 21st at 9 o'clock. And it will be at Caiguas Creek in Camarillo. Hoping to see Mr. Powers there. He's one of our superstar runners. But please, come out and support us. If you're available, we would love to have you there. And all of that money goes into the programs that the partnership puts on for the prevention efforts and working with our multiple partners. So thank you so much for all of your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just also say thank you so much for the work that you do. You really make us very proud, to be representing the county, knowing the good work that you do for such a vulnerable population. Thank you.
And also Judy, I'd like to thank you and all the people that work with you. Good job. Thank you so much for doing that work, all of you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Now we'll go to item 33, and that is a presentation of resolution proclaiming the month of April 2018 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Ventura County. And same thing, I'm going to ask a question rather than read all of the stuff from the resolution, and that is, who is it in Ventura County, which population, is most vulnerable, experiences the most in terms of sexual assault in Ventura County. And if you try to think of what category, I'm not sure that all of you would have put down that it is lesbians and transgenders that are the ones that are most assaulted here in Ventura County. And so we have Erica Estrada, and I cannot pronounce Carolyn's last name. So Carolyn, the second half of your last name is Sutton. I can do that. But Prajatel, huh? Prajatel. Okay, great. So Carolyn Sutton, would you come on down, please, along with Erica? Thank you very much, and whoever you have with you also, wonderful, right? Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to thank the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Steve Bennett, for giving us the opportunity to declare April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. My name is Erica Estrada. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist for the Coalition for Family Harmony. In November of 2016, our Rape Crisis Center received funding to create my current position as Sexual Assault Response Team Coordinator, or SART. This position allows me to work closely with law enforcement, forensic nurses, DAs, and DA's office, and community partners to improve the quality of response and trauma-informed services to victims of sexual assault. I am happy to report a year in that our collaborations have fostered a stronger team, fighting for the same cause: justice and healing for those who have been victimized by sexual assault. Every 98 seconds, someone in the U.S. is sexually assaulted, which means every single day, more than 570 people experience sexual violence in this country. 1 in 6 women have survived an attempted or completed rape, and 3% of men will be raped in their lifetime. The Coalition embraces survivor-centered approaches, and we always start by believing. In the past 6 months, we have supported 225 victims of sexual violence, which sadly I suspect will be doubled by the end of the year. Our efforts in the community, whether it's collaborations with the FBI to advocate for elders in our county who are victims of online romance scams, or prevention education via our teen dating violence curriculum at various schools in the county. We will continue to embrace best practices and meet our community where they are in their journey for healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Good morning. My name is Dr. Caroline Pridgettell Sutton. I'm the Executive Director of Coalition for Family Harmony. And I thank you, Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Bennett, CEO Mike Powers, for supporting us today. The Me Too and the Time's Up movements have given a voice to sexual assault and a way for us to continue the conversation through those who have survived horrific crimes. At the Coalition, we honor these voices, and we also honor the voices that have not been heard: children, marginalized communities, the LGBTQ community, the elderly, and the disabled. As Ventura County's only rape crisis center, we strive to ensure that everyone who walks through our doors are given their power back, and that for those that cannot share their stories, we hope that they know that help is available. We thank our partners, the DA's office, law enforcement, Children and Family Services, the Partnership for Safe Family, and of course, sexual assault nurse examiners for being survivor-centered and working as a team. And of course, I applaud our own Coalition SART team and Rape Crisis Center. A few of them here today. If I can ask them to come up, please. They respond to survivors every day, 24 hours a day, in the middle of the night, up and down the grade, no matter what. They are there in Simi Valley, they are there in Ventura, and they are the ones that are holding the hands, talking through crisis counseling, advocating, and supporting victims of sexual assault. And I applaud them for what they do. Today I have Dr. Sandy Gomez, who is our Rape Crisis Program Manager. I have Melanie Sims, who is our advocate, also at CSUCI advocate. Of course, Erica Estrada, our SART coordinator. Lindsay Nakamura, who is an advocate, crisis counselor as well. And Sogol Farangzad, who is also an advocate. So I applaud them for the work that they do. I encourage you to check out our Facebook page. We have many events this coming month for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And again, I thank you for your time today.
I want to thank you very much, and I really appreciate having the whole team here so we can see what you do. And it's obviously, as we've mentioned, really important work that you get out there and do that. I'm going to come down and present the resolution. I do want to mention there was a public speaker for item 32 that I failed to see. So after we do this photo opportunity, I'm going to ask that public speaker, and I don't even have the list of who. Oh, it was Monica. Okay, I've asked Monica to come back up and speak on item 32. So I'll be right down for this resolution.
I actually had a moment to speak with the ladies out in the gallery and thank them for the work that they do. I have received services from the Coalition for Family Harmony, and I really appreciate them. They're really kind and compassionate, and they really care a lot about the families that they serve. I also wanted to extend some appreciation to Barry Zimmerman from the Human Services Agency, and I know that it's not easy when you have that volume of calls coming in and you don't know what fire to put out first, but I really appreciate the contacts that I've made within the agencies that are working together. I have met a couple people at random events where I was like, oh, which agency do you work with? And turns out that I know quite a few people that are working towards solving this problem. So it's good to know that the hearts of people that are involved in the effort. And I just wanted to say thanks because I was in foster care, and I was posed a question by my own therapist, who is a little awkward after sitting down with her for a year and expressing my frustrations over various things. She told me that she had a long history as a former law enforcement officer, and I may have said less than pleasant things about them as a group. So also to know that Debbie Rubright, is one of the most amazing, compassionate people ever. And she turned to me and said, have you ever taken the ACEs Too High test, the little assessment that talks about adverse childhood experiences? And so I did, and my score was like a 9 out of 10. Kind of sucks. But the resiliency score was also really high and gives you a really good idea of the kinds of supports that would help people move past childhood trauma. I still kind of struggle with that a little bit, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's working to help kids get past the hard times.
Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 34, which is our resolution honoring National Dispatcher Week, and is Captain Mark Gillette and Dustin Gardner coming down. They will also be introducing the Dispatchers of the Year for Fire and the Sheriff's Office.
Morning.
Morning.
I want to thank the Chairman Foy, the board, CEO Powers. Thank you for inviting us here and the recognition for our dispatchers. You talk about some of the numbers. Last year in 2017, our dispatchers handled over 360,000 calls for service. Just an amazing number. Over 100,000 911 calls. And in my position, I'm a captain with the Sheriff's Office. I work in SEC in communications. I'm really fortunate because I have that frontline chair to see every day what these people do. They are the unsung heroes, the real first responders. 24/7, I look over, I depend on them to handle all the calls, and they do it. Professionalism, compassion, it does not matter if it's a high emergency call, which we get, or your general routine call for service, which you know can never be routine. I'm just always amazed at how well they do, and their professionalism. I'm really honored to work with them, and yeah, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank them. I want them to know how much I appreciate their work, and I'm really fortunate to be part of it, and they do it 24/7 without any problem. So I appreciate the recognition, and Destiny, you want to talk at all? Or? Yeah. And I think at this time, this is my first time here with this, we have one of our dispatchers a year, Melissa Emerson. I'd like to bring her up. You know, she got this award. She was picked out of her peers, which is really an honor. To, in law enforcement, we're pretty critical of each other, so when everyone votes you the number one, it's a real honor. I'm honored to be here with her. She does a great job, and I just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a resolution for her.
Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you. And we're going to take a picture. Why don't you get in the middle and sure, get over there. That'll be great. Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Do you want to make a comment at all or anything?
Oh, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, it's I didn't have anything prepared or any words, but thank you for having us, and thank you to all my partners that get me through every day.
Thank you.
Chairman Foy, members of the board, Mr. Powers, and Dustin Gardner, Assistant Fire Chief of Ventura County Fire, and I'm here on behalf of Fire Chief Mark Lorenzen, who couldn't be here today, but it is my honor to accept this resolution on behalf of our dispatch center. As Captain Gillette said, they are the first of the first responders. They're answering north of 100,000 plus emergency calls a year, whether it's a fire call, an EMS call, it doesn't matter. They're the calm, compassionate, caring voice on the other end of that line. They're often never seen, they're never heard from, but they're the initial response. They're the initial voice of compassion and care that starts things on the right path. So to be able to honor them is it's a wonderful experience. Our providers, our dispatchers in our center, they provide medical dispatch and fire dispatch for all the ambulance companies in the county, as well as all the fire companies in the county. And I wanted to give an example of what it is they do, because we don't see it. So it could be, as we're gonna meet Mallory here in a minute. She did CPR instruction for a 2-day-old baby, a baby that was not breathing and pulseless. She was calm and compassionate, confident on the other end of the phone, and she did CPR instructions with a mother who was able to do CPR, who was able to save that young baby. So the things they do on the other end of that line are absolutely amazing, and it's such an honor to be able to be up here to recognize them, to recognize the sheriffs for the wonderful things they do. It's a great honor. And with that, if I could bring Mallory up. Mallory is our fire dispatcher of the year. Again, she was voted by all of her peers as the #1. For me, Mallory was always somebody that I hoped would be on the other end of the line, whether it was on a radio, on a command channel, calling as a supervisor needing help. She was one of those calm, cool, just professional dispatchers. She's a mother, she's a wife, and her mother and husband are here visiting today in honor of her. She's one of our training officers. She's a CSM, our critical stress management members, and she's had 3 CPR saves. So with that, I would like to say thank you and welcome you to say.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You very much for what you've done and what you do, and continue. Let's get a picture real quick, and then you get the opportunity to say something. No. Thank you. You want to speak to the board a little bit? Just comments?
Sure. Thank you for this
I think Melissa and I can both say that we wouldn't be here without the rest of our team, and knowing that we can trust the other people that we work with, and knowing that the job's going to get done and we're always going to be there and excel at what we do is amazing. And so thank you for the recognition of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have a resolution for fire and yeah, bring everybody up together and we'll hand these over to you. Bring the rest of the team up. Here you go, sis. You stay up there, Jeff? Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, next is 35. Thank you. It's my pleasure to present a resolution to our National Boys and Girls Club Week of April 9th through 13th of 2018 in Ventura County for Boys and Girls Clubs of Camarillo, Greater Conejo Valley, Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme, Moore Park, Santa Clara Valley, Simi Valley, and Ventura. These groups do so much for our youth and for our families, and it is my pleasure to have members of each of the boards be able to come here today. I would like to have Roberto Martinez come to the board, to the dais, and I would like to read this proclamation. Excuse me. So today we are celebrating National Boys and Girls Club Week in Ventura County, where many people need professional youth services not otherwise available to help them deal with assorted social, financial, and other hardships, which the various boys and girls clubs in this area provide to many young people annually. And I think this is very important that, as we were just talking about the two other items, how important this one is. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Ventura County lead the way in offering positive alternatives to substance abuse and delinquency, and in the campaign for an increase in and strengthening of daycare and literacy and other programs which serve young people. Whereas the Boys and Girls Club of Ventura County, the state of California, and the United States of America ensure that our young people are offered a safe and supportive and nurturing place to go while it's providing them with quality programs. And the Boys and Girls Club of Camarillo, Greater Conejo Valley, Greater Oxnard, Port Hueneme, Moore Park, Santa Clara Valley, Simi Valley, and Ventura is celebrating April 9th through the 13th as National Boys and Girls Club Week, and has served with distinction and devotion the young people of all those cities in our county. So thank you very much for coming today. I'd like to come down and present you each with a proclamation, but at this time I give you the mic.
Before they share, Mr. Chair, can I share a couple of comments? I just want to, most people know that I'm really a huge supporter of the Boys and Girls Club, and I just want to thank you, all of you, for the good work that you do, and really the love and effect that you give all those children every single day. I think it's extremely important. And especially, I want to share Nyland Acres is my favorite, but I love everybody else. But I just want to thank you for the good work that you do, where you keep the kids safe. They do their homework. They participate. And in fact, I believe that, I think maybe it was shared, but I didn't listen to it, that you had the highest high school graduation of all the kids that attend the Boys and Girls Club. And I want to commend you for that, and how you empower and encourage the kids to continue to go on to college and so forth. And in fact, as you know, last couple of weeks ago, we had Valeria Virgin from out of Oxnard that was named the Youth of the Year. And she's going to be competing in Sacramento and hopefully maybe, oh, she has already?
Yeah.
Did she win?
Today. No, no, yet.
Oh, God, I hope she wins today. And hopefully then she can continue on to the national. But Supervisor, I just want to thank all of you for the excellent work you do for the children. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thank you for your kind words.
I was just going to say that we have heard such amazing results that come from the Boys and Girls Club, and we have seen them too. And I was thinking that probably in the state of California, there probably isn't another Board of Supervisors that has been so strong in support of our Boys and Girls Club, and it really is because of the effectiveness that we see.
Well, thank you. My name is Roberto Martinez. I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Camarillo, and I thank the County Supervisors and CEO Powers for this opportunity to be with you this Tuesday morning. And because it is Tuesday, we are going to be welcoming some very special tutors into our doors this afternoon, some of the service dogs from VIP Dogs. So what they do is they come in and we work with our community partners, the VIP Dogs, as well as the Pleasant Valley School District, who have identified youth in our community who need some additional support with reading. So our youth then get partnered up with the service dogs, and they read to them. And they practice their sight words with a tutor who is non-judgmental and just gives them the most encouragement that they can. And so the children build confidence, and they we do a pre-test and a post-test, and we have determined that with reading to the service dogs, their reading comprehension and sight word vocabulary has increased significantly. So that's just one program that we do at our club. We do hundreds, and when we serve over 400 youth at our club daily, and I welcome the other clubs to come up and share what their successes are.
Good morning. I'm brand new to the Boys and Girls Club movement. 6 months on the job. I'm Dr. Crystal Naone, and I'm the CEO for Boys and Girls Club of Greater Conejo Valley. I just wanted to share a little bit of statistics about our club because we only have 1 minute. So we have 9 clubs. We're from Calabasas to Newberry Park. We cover that area. We have 131 programs. We have 16 summer camps alone. We make sure that every single child who comes through our doors wants services, has access to those. So we provide 100% scholarships to every child in need. We gave more than 652,000 scholarships last year. We operated about $5.3 million annually. We're one of the top largest Boys and Girls Clubs in the country, top 100. We're considered Metro Services along with Oxnard. We have 4,329 unduplicated youth that we served last year with our programs and 402 volunteers. I think the most important thing is the kids that come through our doors every day, though, so I want to thank you for your support of our organization.
Good morning, supervisors, staff. My name is Maria Ventura. My day job, I'm a public affairs manager at SoCal Gas. I've been given the privilege and honor of being the board president for the Boys and Girls Club Greater Ventura. We want to, on behalf of our CEO, Patty Birmingham, who was not able to be here, our staff, and especially our beautiful children and their wonderful families, we wholeheartedly have a lot of gratitude and thank you for your unwavering support. To illustrate what it's like at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Ventura, on a daily basis, we serve 2,000 children. 85% of those kids are elementary school kids. 30% are from single-parent households, and 80% of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. So we work with a very vulnerable population, but the silver lining is there's so much we can do to help support, and like everybody behind me, love. I think the key word here is love, those are children. So I'll provide an illustration of what it's like to work with our kids. Last summer, we had a beautiful child, Andrew, 2nd grade, was participating in the summer games. And as you can imagine, it's a competition, jump rope, bowling, basketball, all the sort of things that we can go back into our childhood and reflect what would have been fun for the summer. So he's competing with a dozen kids or so, and they finished the little jump rope competition. But he drops his jump rope. He looks really frustrated. He just couldn't get the cadence. He just, for whatever reason, he was out of sync that day. And it breaks my heart because I have a 6-year-old. Like his little face looks down and his little rope is on the floor. And before an adult does anything, a little girl says, "Andrew, you can do it." And then the little children, they're all first, second, and third graders, start cheering him on. So he picks up his rope, and if we've ever seen a child who feels empowered because he has community empowering him, he just had the confidence and he finished. So the moral of the story is little Andrew going to be a jump rope in a jump rope competition and win? Probably not. But for Andrew, knowing that he has that community of the adults, the kids that support and love him, and also for the children. We talk about bullying and other issues, but these children know to pull on the best part of them, their character, their behavior. As they grow and develop, it's only going to get more challenging, the things they're going to have to encounter, and that's just growing up. But they'll have the foundation that I'm proud to say the Boys and Girls Club has helped the children learn and instill in them about supporting each other. And that's why I serve as the board president. All my other board members and our CEO is there because we make a difference and we matter. Again, we matter. The Boys and Girls Club matter because we help our kids. So again, we are very grateful for this support and thank you for continuing to support our kids. And I did want to add one thing, Supervisor Bennett, I'd be remiss. So we're in the city of Ventura, as we all know, very impacted by the Thomas fire. So during that night, the CEO and I were in constant communication, and the one thing I just said was like, please, not our clubs, please don't burn. And I think anybody here, I know Supervisor Bennett had a very long night, as well as many other of us, and fortunately, we weren't impacted in that way. Our staff called 150 of our families and asked, how are you doing? They were in the fire zone, and we were very fortunate. We've all received good news. At the same token, it's going to be a more challenging year. We know and recognize that many of our funders are going through some of the most difficult times of their lives with their homes burning down and other things. So our heart goes out to them, but we also want to encourage and really express to the community that the Boys and Girls Club, that other organizations also in the city of Ventura, we need the support this year. This is going to be a challenging year. Thank you so much. And from all the children, the 2,000 kids that we service every day, their little hearts say thank you as well.
Good morning, Chair Foy, members of the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Powers. My name is Amy Fonzo, and I'm Manager of External Relations for California Resources Corporation. But more importantly today, I am the President of the Board of Directors of the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Clara Valley. On behalf of Jan Marholin, President and CEO, who couldn't be here today, and the rest of our Board of Directors, we want to thank you for recognizing Ventura County Boys and Girls Clubs today. Our club serves over 1,650 youth annually, and we have 3 clubhouses in Fillmore, Santa Paula, and Piru. We also staff 7 school sites for the Santa Paula Unified School District. Our membership fees are $35 a year, but we never turn a child away for their inability to pay. The cost for a youth to be in our programs is about $1,000 annually. We have a lot of challenges in this area of the county, but we want our youth to have the same opportunities as other kids, and we believe we're giving them those opportunities on a daily basis. In addition to the STEM activities and programs, we are focusing on STEM nutrition this year and trying to break the chain of poor nutrition. In Piru, we don't charge any membership fees, as it is a federally designated underserved area. And so we want to thank the Board of Supervisors and Mr. Powers for the annual assistance given to this particular club. We are very proud that all 3 locations opened its doors during the Thomas fire as the schools remained closed. And lastly, in reference to Supervisor Parks' comment, CLU recently did a study, and statistics show that for every dollar spent by the boys' clubs in Ventura County, it generates $15.45 of positive community impact. Huge return. So thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors and Mr. Powers. Robert Page, Vice President of Wells Fargo Bank, more importantly, the Board Chair of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme Boys and Girls Club. A real pleasure to be here with you today. I apologize, our CEO, Aaron Antrim, could not attend. As Supervisor Zaragoza had mentioned, Valeria is our area Youth of the Year and is competing in Sacramento today. So we're very proud of her and obviously wish her our best.
What time's that going to be?
Hopefully we'll know as we're walking out today. So as you know, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme serves over 9,000 of our local youth on an annual basis. And I want to just really highlight 3 different areas where I wanted to thank you for your support. One was for your support and funding of our Nyland Acres site. We now have that up to where we have over 80 students being served on a daily basis in one of the areas in our county that has the most need. Second is the collaboration with the Ventura County Probation Department and our evening reporting, which is showing obviously keeping our children from being incarcerated, but more importantly, lowering the recidivism rate. And additionally, want to say thank you for your support of our youth empowerment program that we're working in conjunction with the Workforce Development Board. Most importantly, thank you to all of you. It's with your ongoing support that our staff is able to provide the children in our area not only a safe place to come, a safe place to learn, but a place where they're able to grow towards their dreams. Thank you very much.
And also want to mention Nyland Acres. I also like 7th Street and 5th Street.
Thank you, sir.
Can't show favorites.
Hi, I'm Tracy Shaughnessy. I'm with the Boys and Girls Club of Simi Valley. I'm representing them, and I'm here it's just so nice of you to be here, present us with a resolution today, and to represent and recognize BCG Week. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being just a part of what you do for the county and for all the thousands of children and their families and helping us represent our region. Thank you so much. And I actually have some of our annual reports that I'd like to give to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Scott Mosier. I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Moore Park, and we are serving a little over 400 kids per day at our 5 sites in Moore Park. And I'd just like to say kind of ditto to all the comments that have been made from all of my colleagues. The really neat thing is that you look at the mission of the Boys and Girls Club, and it truly is working. Our kids are succeeding academically. Our kids, regardless of their background and circumstances, are engaged in giving back to their community. And our kids are making healthier choices. Most importantly, the impact, the relationship they have with our staff, the impact the staff are making on their lives on a daily basis is just incredible. So we thank you for all of your support, for acknowledging National Boys and Girls Club Week, and all you do for all of our clubs. Thank you.
All right, so it's with my pleasure that the Board of Supervisors provide all of you with a resolution. I would also like to invite the board members, as all these clubs are in your areas as well, and our CEO, Mike Powers, to come down for a photo and to thank them. Do we have Camarillo? Thank you. Thanks all of you for all that you do, and please share that with your board members and directors too. If we can all turn and we can face that way, we'll get our board members in. Maybe go side. Supervisor Ben is very good at organizing this stuff. Yes.
Tall people in the back, except for Supervisor Long. Yes, I'm in the front. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, you can open up your certification, sorry. Thank you. Squeeze it. There we go. Oh, we got a couple cameras.
Can't do 2 hands at once.
Right. Thank you again so much.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Mike, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go.
Good day, Chairman Foy, fellow supervisors. I'm Matt Caprito, president of the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors, as well a lifelong area resident and a realtor here in town with Berkshire Hathaway. I am very proud as we join with our community of realtors in Ventura County as well as nationally to recognize the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. It's probably one of the country's most significant acts dealing with the real estate industry. And simply, it prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, and national origin. Fair housing actually makes all of us stronger. And as realtors, we embrace the fact that we're at the forefront of addressing fair housing issues. The passage of the Fair Housing Act really means that everyone here has the right to choose where they want to live. At the local association, Ventura County Coastal Association, we have our own local government affairs committee that works toward these ideals. We're here today to ask for your assistance, the community's assistance, to remain engaged and informed regarding fair housing issues in our communities. I am very proud because we have a model program in Ventura County with our association as realtors with the district attorney's office. And to my left, Kay Wilson Bolton will tell you about that program.
Good morning, everyone. Part of the fair housing composition has to be that we present or we identify, detect, and prevent real estate fraud. And we have a real estate fraud advisory team that's established to work with the district attorney to do what it takes to get people safe and then get those who want to deprive people of their equity in the place where they belong. So with all the abuse that we've talked about this morning, it was nice to hear the balance with the Boys and Girls Club and the dispatchers on the other side of it. But returning to the abuse side, this is still a real problem in Ventura County. And to demonstrate what this program is, we have a 90-second video that we would like to show you that will save a lot of words.
Real estate fraud are as diverse as its victims and its perpetrators. They follow market trends and are often disguised as health. Fraudulent practices are found in every culture at all economic levels, and anyone can be victimized. There has been so much fraud in Ventura County that the district attorney formed a special unit to receive complaints and investigate them. As a result, many predators have been arrested, prosecuted, and are serving prison terms. You can help identify these schemes and report them. One example is as simple as someone forging the signatures of elderly homeowners who have no heirs. Other examples are the interception of tax bills and creating artificial documents granting ownership to a nonprofit organization, taking upfront fees to help someone short sell their home, or convincing a homeowner to grant title to the property to a party who promises them profit after a period of time or promises to sell the home back to them. If the scheme sounds too good to be true, it likely is, and deserves to be examined. The Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors and other real estate-related professionals have partnered with the District Attorney's Office to prevent fraudulent schemes, detect them when they occur, and report them for investigation. No one is exempt. Many schemes are hard to imagine, and many schemes have yet to be invented. If you suspect real estate fraud, call 805-751-5899 or visit www.refat.org. This is the kind of help you can trust.
Thank you. You can see that we're looking at all kinds of issues that determine home ownership or prevent it. So if you know of someone who's had a challenge in this area, you can call the hotline, helpline we call it, or directly to the district attorney's website or to refat.org. Thank you so much for having us, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
I was just going to ask you one question. I want to come down and give you this resolution. We saw the fraud, and I know we've had a lot of that issue here. How about the discrimination? Are people still discriminating about who rents a house and doing that stuff too on fair housing?
What was the question?
I guess on the fair housing side, I mean, do we have a lot of discrimination? If I come to rent a house, somebody comes to rent a house, is there still a lot of that going on in our community?
Yes, it's Craigslist is the worst website for that, and what they're doing is actually finding vacant properties in our multiple listing, and they are posting it on Facebook at a reduced rent. They're actually getting people to wire rent to them as a first month's deposit. It's amazing that people are still falling for it. But rentals right now are so scarce as a result of the Thomas Fire that we're seeing an elevated amount of criminal activity in this area.
Well, I'd just like to thank you for your commitment for our housing discrimination. I think it's important that we're fostering communities of success and making sure they're welcome to families to come in and not to be taken advantage of. So I really appreciate your assistance with this, so thank you.
Kay, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Kay, thank you for the good work that you're doing with the help, in not only in that case, but also in behavioral health. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Hold this up a little bit. Right behind you, Ron, too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
On to the fun stuff. Okay. Receive and file a County of Ventura single audit report. Ma'am, you're up.
Good morning,
Thank
Chair
you.
Foy, members of the board, Mr. Powers. For the record, my name is Jill Ward. I'm a Deputy Director in the Auditor Controller's Office over financial reporting. I'm here this morning to ask that you receive and file the county's single audit report, which has been prepared in accordance with the Code of Federal Regulation, Part 200, Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, and Audit Requirements for Federal Awards, which is commonly referred to as the Uniform Guidance. The purpose of the report is to evaluate the financial management and accountability of the county's federal financial assistance programs. These federal grant funds amounted to over $178 million during fiscal year 2017. The single audit report includes 2 instances of noncompliance. The agency's responses and planned corrective actions and the status of prior year findings are detailed in a separate document entitled Corrective Action Plan and Summary of Prior Audit Findings. Also before you is the management letter, which includes an observation and recommendations for strengthening internal controls along with management's response. Here with me today is Roger Alfaro, a partner with Vavernick Trine Day & Company, the county's external auditors, to address the auditor's communication with those charged with governance.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm Roger Alfaro with Vavernick Trine Day & Company.
Included in the packet is the single audit report, which marks the completion of the audit process for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017. Within the single audit report, there is a schedule of findings and question cost, which summarizes the results of the audit process for the last fiscal year. To briefly summarize, that schedule identifies that we've issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements of the county, indicating that the county's financial statements are fairly presented. That is the highest level of assurance you can achieve in the financial statement audit. With respect to our consideration of internal controls over financial reporting in the preparation of the county's financial statements, we have noted that there were no material weaknesses that came to our attention as a result of our work. With respect to the federal compliance, because the county does expend a significant amount of federal dollars for the fiscal year, we select, based on federal guidelines, certain major federal programs and do an audit, specific compliance audit on those major federal programs. As a result of the work that we performed, we've issued an unmodified opinion on compliance, indicating that the county has fairly complied with the federal terms and conditions with respect to those programs that we selected during the year. We did not identify any material weaknesses in internal control over compliance of those programs, but as previously stated, we did identify findings related to certain exceptions, along with management's responses, and as we plan for the subsequent year audit, we will be performing procedures to follow up on whether the corrective action was taken and implemented. I'm pleased to report that we did not encounter any difficulties in the conduct of our fieldwork, nor did we have any disagreements with management with respect to accounting, auditing, or financial reporting practices. And that concludes my comments on the audit for this last fiscal year.
Try to ask this from time to time. Anything you want to tell us in closed session? Anything you want to tell us privately? Overall?
No.
Great, thank you.
Could I ask a question? It was stated about some of the patients go ahead that are already pre-registered and they end up registering again.
Right.
Would the patient know that they're already pre-registered? Would that be something we could add to the form, for example, just to give us more information? Asking the patient themselves, are you already registered with the system?
I think going back to that process, it's a function of when the patient is being registered, pulling them up in the system and correlating it to that event.
So don't have the issue come up to begin with?
Right.
And that's something it sounds like we can do with electronically?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have anything else you need to say, sir? That's good. We have a speaker on this, so I need to have a speaker speak. David Grau, please.
Good morning. I'm David Grau with the Ventura County Taxpayers Association. As we heard, the single audit is an audit of financial statements with limited review of internal controls over financial reporting. As such, the auditors express an opinion on the financial statements, but do not express an opinion on the effectiveness of the county's internal control systems. Several months ago, the Ventura County Taxpayers Association called for an audit of HCA that would result in an opinion on the effectiveness of internal controls. We called for an internal control audit because of the county's inability to produce a timely financial statement on a monthly basis for HCA. Taxpayers Association filed a public records request in late February asking for financial statements. 5 weeks later, the county produced a profit and loss and balance sheet for HCA, and that profit and loss reflected a $10 million loss as of January 31st. We also noted $30 million of adjustments to the January balance sheet that related to a prior fiscal year. Adjustments of this magnitude could indicate ongoing internal control deficiencies that an audit would uncover. Then came the April 5th report from County Counsel on a former employee at HCA and the claims he made. What struck us most was the section near the top of the report that read, quote, "It is understood and accepted that HCA's accounting systems and resources need substantial improvement to adequately manage the financial and budgeting demands of the county's healthcare system. Patton's observation in this regard are not new or surprising. To tell taxpayers it is accepted that the need for substantial improvements to adequately manage the financial and budgeting demands are not new or surprising is an astonishing statement. When County Council looked at the allegations of the former employee, he completed an investigation to determine legal noncompliance, not an audit of systems and control weaknesses. Therefore, we again call for an extensive internal control audit of HCA to assure managers, the public, and others that the financial statements represent a fair picture of the county hospital system. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Foy. If I may ask Mr. Johnson to respond to a couple of those comments. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisor Foy, Chair Foy, members of the board, and CEO Powers. Want to thank Mr. Grau for his comments, and we have been working with the Ventura County Taxpayer Association starting earlier this year and sharing information. And at the last Oversight Committee, we did present a new format of the financials. We do recognize that because of the limitations that we have in our system, which is the Cerner system, essentially EHR, electronic health record or electronic medical record, does have some limitations in generating financial statements. However, at the last Oversight Committee, we did commit to, and we are still committed to, making sure that we have the tools necessary for us to produce the financials as requested on a monthly basis. We ourselves would like to have those financials available not only for senior leadership but for middle management to look at those financials on a monthly basis. Huron Consulting, has your board approved that contract, is also here committed to that same goal of producing these financials for HCA on a monthly basis. So we are making efforts in making sure that those financials are available to anybody who wants to look at those on a monthly basis. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
On the adjustments that were referenced, could you comment on those?
Yes. So that request did come to us about this past Saturday. It was a week ago, and we are actually the response is almost ready with the fiscal team working on the budget. We are going to be sending that response and meeting with the Taxpayers Association on that response for the adjustments that are mentioned this morning.
And then to also mention, I appreciate Mr. Grau's comments, the agency also has an interim CFO.
Yes.
Henry Garza to help, and he is definitely helping along with Huron to address some of these systems issues that other health systems have seen with similar electronic health records, like Glendale Adventist, for example.
Correct. So yes, we do have Mr. Aribi Garza, who is part of the Huron group and is helping our team put forth some of those reports that are very standard in systems systems that are mature with their electronic health records. So his presentation was made at the last oversight, and in that he also committed that the next presentation would be including some more key indicators that we watch in healthcare from a financial perspective. So that would be happening this upcoming month.
Okay. Any comments, sir?
We really work hard to try to make sure Ventura County is a peak performing organization. And one of the aspects of a peak performing organization is to not be defensive. Because if you're defensive, you can't really fairly look at where you need to improve and stuff. And so I just really appreciate, I think this whole process of, as people are asking these questions, I just really appreciate that our response has not been a defensive response, but it's been, tell us where the problems are, we want to fix them, right? And I thought that was particularly true, for example, with the Mr. Patton thing, you know. Tell us, give us the facts. We actually insisted on that before we were willing to sever the, or work, you know, do the final arrangements with him. We want to know so that we can fix them. So I want to ask these questions. The Cerner implementation was a fairly major implementation to the county healthcare system, correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it was. I think in one of the previous conversations I mentioned, I've been part of 3 EHR implementations in different organizations, and what was undertaken here in a very short period of time was enormous, massive.
So most places do it much slower, but that means you stretch the pain out over a longer period of time in terms of the discombobulation of the system. But
yes,
right, we did it faster. But when we got to the end of that, it's because now you've completely changed your reporting systems and all of that stuff. You then come up with shortfalls in terms of your financial reporting because the Cerner system affects your ability to get the data for the financials, correct?
Absolutely, it does. So we are under a mandate from both CMS and DHCS to report on a lot of clinical indicators. So when you implement a system like that, of course, those are the things that we want to make sure that we are meeting because they are the ones that allow us then to draw down the monies. So that's where the focus was.
And once we got that done, then the next thing to do is to get the financial side of it straight. Great. And so I look forward to getting to the end of this, but I just want to be, the complimentary thing I want to say is I really appreciate the non-defensive response. Give us, you know, we're willing to look, and we want to know, and in terms of trying to go forward, and making a challenging system work as well as possible, because public hospital systems, as I've said, they are challenging systems. When you're doing them great, you're just barely keeping your head above water, and that's when you're doing them great. There are no public hospital systems out there that everybody goes, wow, they're just rolling it in here and stuff, right? So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other comments at all? Okay, so we need to receive and file this single audit report with the corrective actions. Motion and a second. All right. Thank you. One more vote, Steve. All right. Let's move on to item number 38. Public hearing. Adoptions of the 2018-21 Memorandum of Agreement with Ventura County Specialized Peace Office Association. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Sir.
Good morning, members of the board, Chair Foy, CEO Powers. My name is Craig Leadham with County Labor Relations. The item before you is a request to commence a public hearing on the adoption of the Memorandum of Agreement between the county and the Specialized Peace Officers Association of Ventura County. We additionally request that you schedule a second hearing for April 17th and adopt the MOA at the close of that hearing. Negotiations with the union SPOVAC began on February 21st of this year and were completed in 3 sessions. We reached a tentative agreement with the union for a new MOA on March 14th, 2018. That MOA is before you. It's for a 3-year term ending in April 2021. The terms and conditions of the agreement that were reached are consistent with the county's compensation philosophy to keep total compensation within 5% or above the job market for the job classification as represented by the union. Some of the key economic terms of the new agreement are 3 separate 1.5% increases for each of the 3-year term of the contract, a single market-based adjustment of 1% for each of the classifications represented by the bargaining unit, That would be effective the first full pay period following final adoption of the MOA, and also a $50 per pay period increase to the flex benefit credit allowance. One of those increases would be effective this month. An additional $50 would be effective in December 2018, and the final $50 increase would be effective in December 2019. Both of those final two increases in December of each year coincide with the annual increases of the premiums for the new plan year. The agreement also includes a couple of additional changes, one of which is a reimbursement of up to $90 annually for membership in the National Association of Medical Examiners Professional Association, and finally a $50,000 term life accidental death insurance policy for each of the bargaining unit members represented by the union. The MOA was successfully ratified by the union on March 19th, 2018, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any comments, questions? No? Appreciate all the hard work that your team would do. Thank you. Yep, I'll close the public hearing. That's because we have no speakers on this public hearing, do we? All right, so we'll close it, and then our comments, we'll have a vote. We have a first and a second. And again, thank you, sir. There you go. All right, I think those are all our items. We're going to move into closed session. Hey, Roy, do we expect any announcements out of closed session?
Do not expect any
No announcements. Okay, then we'll adjourn from closed session. Thank you.